Welcome to Rocksolid Productions, where in this video we are going to show you how to install the ExtremeRate PS4 controller DTF LED kit. Stay tuned. Hey everyone, Gary here with Rocksolid Productions. Now, before we get started, I just want to say thanks for coming by and checking out what we do have going on here today. I really do appreciate it. Now, if you like what you see here and you want to see more, do me a huge favor. Check out some of the other videos that we have here on the channel. We have mods, tips and tricks, reviews, how-tos, all sorts of things that you can check out here on the channel. And if you really like what you see, do me just a huge favor. Hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, and that bell notification. And what I want to know from you on the PlayStation through the PlayStation 4, the 4 console generations that we have had from Sony at this point in time, which controller was your favorite? I absolutely do love the DualShock 4. The original DualShock is great too. It's a natural extension and basically a follow-up to the original Super Nintendo controller, which is why I think I like it so much. So ExtremeRate sent us this here. This is an LED kit that we are going to install in our PS4 DualShock 4 controller. Now, this is one of the Generation 1 DualShock controllers. They do have a second version that will work with the V2 of the DualShock 4s. Make sure if you are going to order one of these that you order the right one for the controller that you have. I will have links to both of these down below in a pinned post for you to check out. Now, they have a really nice tutorial on their website to show you how to do the installation and everything. There's no soldering or anything like that involved. This should be a pretty simple disassembly, reassembly process, but there's a lot that's going on in here, so if you feel a little intimidated, hopefully this video will help kind of eliminate that for you. So what this kit basically should do is make it where around the sticks and everything, around the buttons, around the D-pads, it has a variety of LED colored lights that will pop up and just make this just beautiful and really, really cool. Now, this will reduce the life on your console battery or on your controller battery slightly. Just be aware of that it does drain the battery from the controller. But with that all out of the way, let's hit the bench and let's see what we have to do to take this bad boy apart and add some flair. Woo! So here we have our ExtremeRate PS4 controller DTF LED kit on the bench along with our controller itself. Just a single piece of tape keeping everything sealed. And let's take a look inside. Looks like a nice set of, nice installation guide here. Walks you through everything. Cool. Ton of little tiny screws. We'll see what we need with those. We have some not so tiny screws. We have, looks like a control unit. Oh, check this out. So inside the kit you actually get a set of tools. So you've got a spudger, a tweezers, and a screwdriver in there too, along with the specific items that you have. You have your different controller buttons, D-pad, analog sticks too. Actually a nice tweezers there. What's nice about this too is the fact that it's molded composite, so it won't conduct electricity. That's neat. So for those who don't know what a spudger is, that's a spudger, and basically a spudger just has like a hook to open things up like electronic devices. You can see we've got a nice teeny tiny screwdriver in here. Now I actually have my own that I'll be using, but nice to see that they do include that along with the other parts that we will pull out of here. Here's our new D-pad, analog stick 1, analog stick 2. So what makes these a little bit different if you look inside, come here you, is it actually has kind of a lens type material inside the button to help the lights pass through. I'm going to keep this box. I'm going to pull out the foam. Can I pull out the foam? I cannot pull out the foam, but I'm going to use this to put my screws in. So we'll take and we'll slide our new components off to the side and let us bring in our PS4 controller here. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4 screws on the back we have to undo. And for this, like I say, I mentioned I've got my own screwdriver. This is from an RC company called Connexus, and it has a bunch of different bits on there, including a very fine tip Phillips screwdriver. So take this guy out here. All right, so we're gonna pop these off. We've got 4 screws here on the back. The reason why I'm using this screwdriver versus the one included is just the bit itself is, with the stock one, a lot of times, or the included one, using RC term, they're stock, a lot of times that can be a really soft metal, which can strip out pretty easily. This is more of a hardened tip, so you should not have those sorts of issues. Okay. Now, as we finish here with the 4th screw, we're going to get out the spudger. So the spudger is designed to kind of help you get in between the seams and pry this open. So let's go ahead and see what we can do here. You might need to use your thumbnail to kind of get between the seams, and actually that side popped off pretty easily. Kind of grossness you see here, dead skin and crap. I mean, it's just, you want to make sure that you clean your controllers on the regular, you know? Yep. And there we go, and you can see you can pull too hard and pull the ribbon cable out that we would have had to remove later on. Well, that part's done. Next up, we're gonna remove the battery, which is this guy here. Be careful as you do so that you're not pulling the wires out of the housing. It's probably one of the best instances where you want to use that tweezers to kind of get between here. There's a lip. Let's come in a little bit closer here so you can see. So if you look right here on the battery connector, there's a bit of a lip to it. Try to get underneath that to pop the battery connector out. Wow, that connector just does not want to come out. I just use my thumbnail. There we go. And with that, the battery's out. So where this connector pulled out was out of that connector right there. So it is just a pressure fit. Nothing broke. It's okay. It was just being a pain to pull out of there. Next, we need to undo this screw here. Battery tray just pops out. Yeah, there's no screw that retains that. The screw that was in here was holding the board down. So I can now just remove that after I need to pull out this ribbon cable right here. And that's a, I believe they call it a ZIF connector. So you need to flip that guy up there. And that should pull out, which those are a little bit on the slick side. I'm going to grab my other tweezers here. Yep, a little bit better bite. Actually, this whole thing will come out, won't it? Yep. Motors and everything. There we go. Awesome. So now we have the face of the controller itself, and now at this point we swap out the D-pad and the face buttons, and you should be able to just push through that here in a moment. We're gonna set that apart. I'm gonna use the tweezers here to pop that out. And membrane. It's rather insane in the membrane. And then there's your original D-pad, and just right away we will just pop in the new one. There's that. And then here we're going to pop off that membrane. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to put this one back on. No reason not to. And you want to make sure that it goes over the sides to get locked back into place as it should. It should pretty much capture the D-pad. So there's that. Now we'll do the same thing for our face buttons. Just being gentle that we're not... if you can see right here, there's a post that the membrane itself actually kind of keys into. So don't just go yanking and cranking on it. It'll tear if you do that. And it looks like each button is indexed differently. All right, so I've laid out my buttons here, how they're going to go in. With that, just one by one, we're going to go take out our originals. And again, notice that these are indexed so that they only go in one direction. That one I had to spin completely around to get it to go in its slot. And that guy there. And same as we did with the other side, we're gonna put the membrane on, making sure that we're lining up the holes in the membrane with the posts underneath here too. Now I did not do that as much with the D-pad. We'll go back and clean that up here in a second. I think that's one of the issues I was having with why it wasn't going on and why it's not sitting the way it quite should, because I wasn't aware of that until this part here. Okay, so there's that. And we'll come back over here, like I say, and kind of touch those guys up. All right, awesome sauce. So now that I'm to this part, I'm going to set this part aside, and now we're going to work on the actual board itself. We're going to flip this over here real quick, and we're going to pull the sticks off. I would figure those would just pop right off. Here you go. There's one. There's two. So there's our original analog sticks. And this jumble of wires is our control board and everything that's basically going to do all the work for us. So kind of spread that out here. These are very thin wires, so be careful. These are super tiny wires. I will say one thing I kind of wish they would have done a little bit of a better job of is having, here we go, the wires not so twisted up inside. That's actually something they could have improved upon. So now looking at what we have here, the part that has the LED lights for the analog sticks, that will go on this side of the controller, on the under the D-pad side, and then the control board is by the face buttons. So there's a little bit of a paper backing on here. I'm not sure. There, I was able to get my thumb through it. So there's that, and we're going to do the side for the D-pad first, and it gets orientated in this way where you have wires coming out of the lower left and the top right. And there's, if you look on the controller here, there's a tab right there that you can kind of get everything aligned with in the control board, right? That hole there should line up with that tab. Now, one trick I have used for years is to use an X-Acto blade to kind of help me get stuff like this aligned. So we're going to get this over our spot. So there you can see, but I had to do that off camera. So there you see that tab went through the board there. We have our wires coming up top right, bottom left, kind of pressed down a little bit to make sure it's adhered well. And now we're going to come across to the other side. So very similar on this side here, you've got that little tab that'll go into this part of the control board. Try not to twist the wires too much. They're very thin and you can damage them. So a couple things you want to do as you're applying this here. You want to make sure that you're not blocking the pads too much that actually will read the contact, and that you are getting it to lay flat. That looks good. So at this point what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually take my tweezers that I have, my hemostat, I'm going to go like that so it keeps everything together, and that way it doesn't fall apart, which is actually really, really helpful at this point. Now what we have to do is we need to apply the LEDs around the control sticks themselves. And you want to do so in such a way that it doesn't interfere with the screw holes. That hole there, you need to make sure it is not obstructed. So we will peel the backing off of here as well. Be very careful as you're doing this because it doesn't take much to damage these boards as thin as they are. And that's nothing against ExtremeRate in this. These are just very, very, very small pieces of electronics. There we go. And you can kind of see how the X-Acto knife helped there. And what we're going to try to do this here is to lay it flat and basically parallel, you know, where the wires are basically parallel with the board. Okay, there's that. And you can use your spudger to kind of tap that down a little bit. Don't use too much pressure because these are LEDs. You can damage them. And I will route the wires kind of down through there. That should help protect them when I get everything back up. We're going to do the same thing on this side here. I know a lot of times people criticize me for having long fingernails and thumbnails when I'm doing videos like this. Stuff like this is why, so I can have a decent reach to get at components like this. And then same basic thing here. We're going to try to get it centered as much as possible. Main thing that we're trying to make sure on this is that we're not obstructing the movement of the stick at all when we get everything in there. And then we'll route our final wires kind of down below here in just a moment. But now we're going to put on our sticks, and one thing I want you to notice on the inside here is the fact that this is rectangular shaped, not square shaped. So looking at the post here, you want this to be lined up where it's taller than it is wide. So just slide those onto your posts gently. There you go. Don't force it. It will go on. It may take a little bit of to get it on there, and you want to make sure that it is not bound up or anything as it's going around. So we will definitely want to make sure that we pull these kind of down a little bit. What I'll probably end up doing, let's see if I have Yeah, if I do that, it's good. So what I'm going to do here, and this isn't something that's included, but I have some clear double-sided tape, and I'm just going to cut off a small piece, and I'm actually just going to use it to kind of tack those wires in place. We're going to take that and just apply it down towards the bottom here. So there you can see it's not very tall. We're just going to take that and bring it down here. We've got it on the wires. Now I can take that, tack it there. Do not use hot glue. Now that moves smoothly. The wires are kept out of the way. And we can do the other side. Again, don't force it, it'll go. There we go. That side actually went on a lot easier. And this side is actually even more pronounced with the wires kind of rubbing. So thankfully I still have my double-sided tape here. What I'm going to do with the spudger here is I'm going to kind of pull the wires down around here. So we have all of our wires now routed underneath here cleanly. We don't have to worry about them getting pinched. It kind of helps keep them away from the sticks as they move. Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. So the first part of the reassembly is we are going to put this back into here. I should be able to get everything back in without too much trouble. The main thing is this ribbon cable needs to come through this hole right here. So we're going to lay that in there as gently as possible. It looks like if you come at an angle here, go down at an angle and then lay the top in. That's the easiest way to clear the analog sticks and everything. There we go. There we go. And we are going to grab our tweezers here and pull our cable through slowly but surely. There we go. So we are back installed into the face of the controller, and we're going to reinstall that screw. Now, you've probably heard me mention it before, but when you are starting to screw things back together, unscrew it slightly first before screwing in. That will make sure that you're not threading new holes, but you are using the existing ones. And we work all the way down, and the way you can tell you are all the way down is there's a post here and here. I can kind of see it underneath the wires there, but those two posts need to come through the board, and the board needs to be sitting lower than the top of the post. It was sitting above the post. Malone. Post Malone. Get it? It's a basketball joke, people. Don't yank and crank when you are tightening the screw back down. Just snug it up and you should be good. Now at this point, kind of test and see how the sticks are. Make sure there's nothing binding. Make sure you've got smooth movement, because if you've got any problems with that, it's easier to take the rest of it apart now and fix anything. Same with the buttons. Buttons should move and go through its range of motion without any issues. Now one thing I am going to reroute here, if you see how the wire got wrapped around that post there, I'm going to try to route it up and over without breaking the post. Malone. There we go. Now we are going to reinsert our connector up top here. So now we need to get our ZIF connector back into the port. Now take your time while you're doing it. Don't force it. There we go. And once it is in, flip the latch shut. You're good there. We're almost there. Now at this point we're ready to snap our battery tray back in. Now on some versions it looks like there was a screw that would hold it in. Mine didn't have that, so something to be aware of. It just looks like it snaps into the board. Snaps into the board. And oop. There we go. Everything just snaps right into place. Pretty good so far. Okay, now is probably the hardest part, and that is mounting the main control board inside in the system itself. So I'm going to grab the battery just so I can make sure that I'm getting my polarity correct. So positive should be towards the top. So we're going to get positive towards the top. Now this connector is smaller than the connector that my battery had, which is kind of weird, but the pins make contact and everything, so we're good there. And according to the instructions, it's showing in the top half like right around here is where it's recommending that I mount that board to. So I'll go ahead and try to do that. So before I even do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in the other ZIF connector here. I may block your view a little bit on this, and if I do, I apologize. There's just no real good way to film and do this. As you're inserting this, try to apply pressure as evenly as you can. We're going to go there with this. That should clear all of that. Wow, that's a how do you do for sure. Alright, so last thing here. There's that. We need to throw the battery in. Hey, no smoke, that's a good sign. Battery isn't hot, that's a good sign. And this is showing the battery coming off on this side. I don't want to route that around there because that's gonna have an issue. Alright, so what we're gonna do, I hate having the wires kind of hold everything there, but I'm gonna actually get another couple pieces of double-sided tape here, tack the wire down. So I've got one piece of double-sided tape tacking down the wires there. That kind of helps keep it a little bit neater. Wow, this is a pain. And it's not anything due to the conversion kit. It's not. This is all due to the design of the controller itself. You know what? I'm probably going to be better off doing it like this. So we'll slide that down in there first. Try to get everything routed out of the way. So I'm sorry I had to do that off camera, but it was one of those where I really just needed to be able to look at where the wires and everything were and make sure nothing was getting pinched as we finish everything off here. Here we go. And again, before we screw everything up, well, screw everything together, I mean, check the sticks feel good. Yeah, getting the springs back in here, definitely the hardest part of everything with the L and the R trigger. Now we'll grab our screws and put them back into place, and as you can see, the power and everything is working properly. So we will get our screws back into place one by one. And again, much like the other screws and parts that we mentioned earlier, make sure that you're not going, gonzo on tightening these down. They just need to be finger tight. Okay. And there you can see everything is lit up, and we can actually change the colors now too. So one main difference with this kit versus the newer kit for the, basically version 2 of the PlayStation controller is that the way the lights work, turn on, and change color is essentially pressure based, where you push on the back of the controller about where you installed the board. So there's that, there's that, there's that. Now, flash for it if you want, go through the things, through different colors. Or you can turn it off. So it's all pressure based on the back of the controller itself. And then basically to turn the lights on and off, you hold, so for mine it's right about here, so you hold it for about 3 seconds and there the lights went off, lights went back on, I can cycle back through them. Pretty slick. Let's wrap it up. So there you have it. I mean, the installation process was, I don't want to say it was easy. It was the hardest thing I would say about this total installation process was getting the springs back in for the 2 triggers up top. Now again, this is for the original PlayStation 4 DualShock controller. They do have a different kit for the version 2, the one that has the LED bar up here as well. So keep in mind as you are going through this, the steps are different. But I mean, the fact that I can do the color changes just like this, I mean, that's pretty dang slick. Pretty flashy if you think about it too. The cost of these kits, not too bad either. And I have played a little bit with this, with the lights on, lights off. Obviously battery life does take a hit when you do this. maybe 25 minutes less on a full charge, I would say, and it still works with all of my regular charging stands and everything that I have. I'm feeling a little blue right now, what can I say? But again, thanks to ExtremeRate for sending us this to test out and check out. What's really nice too, because you're not changing the gimbals themselves, as you can see my PS4 behind me making changes. The gimbals themselves, the sticks, don't feel any different going through the motions. Again, as my PS4 freaks out behind me. Still very clicky, still very responsive. The main thing, make sure you get those wires routed and out of the way around the gimbals here to make sure that you're not getting anything interfering. But, you know, very cool kit, like I say. I am totally digging this, and it's super, I mean, it's neat to have something unique for your system. Now, I will have a link down below in a pin post if you want to do this yourself, to both the, you know, the version for this controller and then for the newer DualShock 4 controller as well. Now, if you do have any other comments or questions, as always, feel free to leave a comment down below. You can also go ahead and email me at rocksolidmail@gmail.com. You can send me a message over on Twitter at RockSolidStudios. We are on Facebook at facebook.com/RockSolidProductions and Instagram at instagram.com/RockSolidProductionsGK. I have to admit, before this video went live, I've actually shared quite a few little videos and snippets of this. It's neat to go through and cycle the colors. It's stupid, I know, but it's fun at the same time, especially with the you know, the fade in and out, or the flashy too. So I like it. I dig it. I like things that get that sparkle, what can I say? Now, if you do want to help support the future of Rock Solid Productions, you can do so in a couple of different ways. First and foremost, head on over to our Patreon page at patreon.com/rocksolid. For as little as $1 a month, $12 a year, you get early access to all of our video content, exclusive content, and a whole lot more. You can also head on over to our Teespring store on screen right now, where we have t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, and more. And everything that we raise through both of those gets put right back into the channel. Like, for example, where we filmed the intro and the actual disassembly and reassembly of this, and now I actually got a new mic in, so hopefully this doesn't sound as breathy as in previous videos up that we've had on the channel here recently as well. And finally, like I mentioned at the top of this video, if you like what you see here, if you want to see more, please do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and that bell notification. That way you are kept up to date with everything we have going on here with the channel. ExtremeRate, again, thank you. This thing is super awesome. They did send us this free of charge to show this video to you. Green, blue, yellow, pretty, so pretty. I am Gary, this is Rock Solid Productions, and our look at the ExtremeRate DTF LED conversion kit for the PlayStation 4 DualShock 4 original controller. I thank you for watching. I hope to see you soon.